Welcome everyone to tonight's study session. We will be looking at mid position, 100 big blinds deep. We're going to look at three different types of hands we can play here. We're going to look at when early position opens and how we respond. We're going to look at when we open, getting called and three bets. And we're going to look at when we face the big blind, the player who's most likely going to defend against us when we open. And so we're going to look at all three of those different elements in theory spots. So the first thing that we'll notice when we are 100 big blinds deep, when we did our 40 big blind deep study, we knew that we were playing with offsuit tens and suited sevens, but we can see these hands in the middle, the suited sevens, are starting to mix a little bit of folding here with the gapped cards that are sevens, and a little more of the connected and one gap cards that want to call, as well as we're a little deeper with our kings. And particularly when we look at the low jacks range, whereas the low jack was offsuit tens and suited eights, we'll now see that as we start to get deeper and deeper and play an earlier and earlier position, our offsuit hands really start to struggle to produce value with the risk of more and more players behind us. And so we tend to lean heavier on the suited side, right? Really only playing the premium offsuit hands as we start to move into the earlier positions here. So without further ado, we will jump into how these ranges interact against under the gun and under the gun one. We'll quickly take a look at their ranges. As you can imagine, they're going to be quite tight. Offsuit queens, suited nines, and a little more offsuit queens, a few splashy jacks, and suited nines. So we will take a look at what we are going to do. And if you remember from last week, our theme is not going to be what combos we three bet, but how often we three bet them. So let's get some trainer work done and get splashing around. We'll stop and take some looks at theory in different points here once we start the action. So we get a raise from under the gun one, and we get pocket fives, 100 big blinds deep. Are we calling? Are we folding? Are we raising?
I think we get to set mine all our pairs.
Go.
20.
Go.
This has a sliver of raising.
Absolutely. Remember our theme, not what combos do you three bet, but how frequently do you three bet them? So we'll take a quick look at range here.
Yeah, just about everything has some three betting.
Absolutely. There's only going to be a few cuspy hands that don't three bet from time to time. And so you can see 5-4, pocket fours, pocket fives, sixes, sevens, eights, nines, all the pocket pairs, three bets, almost all your suited aces, all your ones that are full frequency have some three bets, all your kings have some three bets, your queens, your jacks. But if we look at where we're kind of targeting our three bets to come from, right? We're looking at this kind of block of hands here. There's our best value hands that want to three bet a lot, but we also need to protect them with a buffer of strong hands. So ace, king off, ace, queen off, king, queen suited, pocket queens. These hands, ace, jack, are strong enough to flat and leave us able to call against a squeeze very frequently, because they'll play well enough post flop anyways in a three bet pot. These ones are okay to raise and to fold to further aggression, and these ones are okay to raise and to call to further aggression, particularly ace king. So again, how frequently? Not that frequently, but away we go. Well, this looks pretty easy. Let's pick a size to bet, and then we're gonna have an idea, and then we're gonna guess about how frequently we are going to bet, how frequently we are going to check this board with the entire range of hands that we get here. So the easy answer, how big do you guys want to bet? 4, 7?
I would bet small.
I'm actually not sure, which is why
Okay.
I've been quiet.
Build the pot. Build the
Excellent.
pot.
So.
My
um,
default here would be 2, but, I feel like we're definitely gonna have a gray size here as well. I like
Yeah.
using the color instead of the number.
Okay.
Flush draw
Yeah.
board, so we can maybe size up.
Yeah,
We're also
I'm
very
thinking-
deep. But it's also
We're
dry, it's
very
like
deep.
jack low low.
yeah, I'm wondering if we can get 7 or if 7's a bit too big.
For me, it's 2 or 4.
Let's take a peek, see. 2 and 4, both the preferential size. Occasionally streaking here. Is anyone ever finding a check?
Feels bad. If you check here, you're looking for trouble. Does it check back without the spade?
I'm guilty of checking a set behind occasionally.
Okay, we'll take a look at the entire range here. So on this texture, with every hand that we have, how often do we think that we're betting? 50% of the time, 75% of the time?
Oh, the range?
Yep.
I think it's probably a 40-60 split, 40 bet, 60 check.
On
And
this board, I
primar-
wouldn't be surprised
I-
if we're over 50% betting here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the same thing, cuz under the gun checked.
So Jack low, low. We're gonna take a look at the reports here, and we're gonna take a look at what we find from these reports. But this sizing doesn't surprise me here. I think this is going to be a frequent and small bet. So I'm gonna say 60% betting, 40% checking. 48% check.
It's
So,
closer to
50-50.
50-50.
mhm. And it is mixing. It's got a little bit of the very small size, a bunch of this, and not a lot of big bets, which isn't surprising. When we take a look at the reports here, and we look at the entirety of range, when the board is 9 high or lower, we have frequent small betting. Right? So you guys can see all the orange color, that is all small betting. Gray is slightly bigger, the medium size betting. The green is checking. And so that is just very prevalent here. As we start to get into Broadway cards, there starts to be more prevalent sizing up, particularly when the boards start to get connected. So 10-9, 10-8, right? 10-9-8 are very big, right? We even start to see the odd occasional overbets. And then as we move through the Broadway zones, we can see that Jack low low still is primarily betting small with both of them, although it's losing the orange color, which is the very small bet, and starting to choose more of the medium sizing for bets. And again, picking up some of the blue large bets and occasional purple over bets as we get more and more connectivity towards drawing hands that are going to be much more prevalent in the under the guns range. So we're betting less, but we're betting bigger when we bet. That continues in the queens, and that continues in the kings. But once we start to get here with kings with other broadways, we start losing all of our small bets. And it is only the medium and the big bets that we have here. And we even have more and more frequent over bets. But as you can see, we're checking about 75% of the time. So these type of boards, two Broadway boards, and particularly king and ace high Broadway boards, are going to be very polar in our response.
Pete, go back to that little gap, little like thing of orange right before the aces. Is that the king
Oh.
king boards?
Yeah, so paired kings are where we get our small bets from, and then this is paired queens here, and then this is paired jacks here,
Okay,
right? So on paired boards with really locked up equity where you have trips and it doesn't really matter what your kicker is, you're way ahead or way behind, you're just betting small a lot, right? And even when we go to aces, right? The ace wheels have some polarization, but all the rest of the aces are just lots of small betting or lots of medium betting as they become more and more Broadway heavy. So a little bit of a more detailed range interaction than we were looking at. But so jack low, we bet small. Lock up equity, double flush draw, we get a lead. Here we go.
So I don't think we raise very often here. I mean, we want him to hit his flush. I think we call.
Well, if we call and put 3 chips in this pot, there's only going to be 21 chips in here. How are we going to get 90 more chips into the pot?
It's impossible to stack.
Our
Yeah.
range may not raise that much, but we definitely want to with the hand, right?
yeah, we're deep. I kind of don't want to just call here.
I think at the very, very top of our range, and this is the 1%. I think there's some trapping, but you guys might be right.
The nice thing about this is we also, like, I would be more inclined to be nitty with like a jack. I can't even imagine we have jack 5 here, right? But if we had
Quad jacks, let's say.
yeah, if we had quad jacks or if we had like jack ace, I'd be more inclined to be cautious with that type of hand. Where we block his continues a little more. Like say we had jack with the ace of hearts here. Right, we block his bluffs, we block this. So I'm inclined to raise and I am inclined to,
I think I'm going 22, but
I think 22 is probably, you still want to
is it
get,
too much?
you still want to get value from his flush draws.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you don't want to
10,
bet
9.
his
so
flush draws
16 then?
out.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think 10 is too small.
Yeah.
At this depth, like, I think it's at least 16, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would probably be raising this type of range in game a lot. But it goes a little
Wow.
bit big.
Wow.
yeah, we
And
just
it's
gotta
very
build it.
polar.
I guess you're just targeting jacks then.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like
It's like, go big, hope he has a jack and get the chips.
yeah, to me it seems like this really prices up the flush draw, but that's why we're here to study, because one of my problems is not getting enough value when I have a big hand.
exactly.
The
So let's
30
still
seems,
pick the nitty.
yeah, that seems crazy large. I
One
don't
interesting thing
know.
to look at here is the EV difference, right? I mean, there's really not any EV difference between the options.
The only thing is you're going to make it easier for him to call on the river, right? When you go all in here, when you take the bigger sizing.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, it might be a mental block. I just hate getting a fold in these situations.
So if we're looking at these two sizes, the purple and the blue, what are those going to be? Those are going to be full houses. Trips are also going to take that size, although some trips are just calling. We have some second pairs that want to bluff this way. Gross. And some unmade hands. Our gut shots, ace 4, 7, 6, are also using this size. Combo draws want to use the slightly smaller size. That's the flush draws with a gutter. Nut flush draws mostly just calling. The lowest ones, right, are the ones that want to raise more often. And then the rest of our flush draws in here, right, the lower they are, the more they want to raise. The higher they are, the more they want to call.
Can we see, did we look at what he's leading with?
We didn't, but I'm assuming it's going to be a bunch of hearts and some jacks and some trash.
Like when we're raising huge with the lower flush draws, are we trying to fold out a better flush draw?
We're probably not. We're probably just looking to fold marginal mates. Right, so what is his leading range here? It is a huge chunk of his range, and
Okay,
he's
it's just
almost range
everything.
doing it. So yeah, he's got all kinds of stuff here. So when we raise, it's just his response then is to fold 44% of his junk.
Peter, roll over the aces and see if there's any suitedness to the aces for him, for his lead.
Oh, for his lead?
Yeah,
He is folding a lot of suited stuff, so it looks like some flush draws will fold.
but when there's multiple options, it's not really,
Yeah, it's like it's still picking the clubs.
yeah, it's still picking pretty evenly from each suit pair grouping.
Yeah, like really it's down here that you see it. Right? Like every ace is betting here. They're all gutters. Then these ones are all flush draws. But like these offsuit ones, like he's in here with ace 10, splashing around with spade. So,
Yeah. So like normally this is, it's kinda backwards, right? Where normally you wanna not build the pot with your weakest flush draws. You would tend to just call them and then raise with the like high-low nutty ones, but here that's not what we saw, right?
yeah, the problem is like his entire range is doing this with the jack, right? And it's a function of it's protected by he has a bunch of trip jacks here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he gets because he gets to do it with all his trip jacks, he gets to do it with all his trash as well. So the rest of his range just kind of comes along.
I don't know,
But-
I don't think he has all the sets there. I think
No,
five's only open partial, and I think threes are out.
yeah, he doesn't have threes, but like he has jacks, right? He has all kinds of jacks,
Yeah,
right? So and like jacks are just a really high percentage of his range because his range is so compressed, right? Because all he's got is like you know, his occasional suited or offsuit jack, and then a bunch of suited jacks. So we get this river, the flush completes. He gives it a check. Is there any choice but to go all deep? No.
Hope he doesn't have king jack.
Jack 10. There we go. We got one. Queen 10. Splashing around or folding?
it mixes.
Fold.
All right, let's try a more
Well,
interesting
Good.
little splash. Ace 10, it's a little better. Call or 3-bet. Or fold.
3.
I think this one mostly calls.
Will this mix everything?
Yeah, everything. Everything.
It's a fold.
Nah, this, I don't think this is ever folding.
It might fold more than it calls. I wouldn't be shocked.
I
Three
can
bet
tell you
will
it's a
be in
three
there.
bet in limit hold'em, but I like fold.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a three bet limit hold'em, but yeah.
So I thought it might sneak in here with a little bit of three bets, but it looks like it's just primarily a fold. This deep. Against under the gun one.
Oh yeah, we're not at 40 here, eh? I'm so used to watching 40.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why we're here, is because like 40, I mean, you can get away with this, but like deep
Yeah.
stack,
They
your offsuit stuff really struggles. King, queen off, ace, jack off.
This doesn't look like the range we were looking at before.
It might not have been. What about if we go here? Here it's a little bit wider, right? When we have hijack versus under the gun one. So,
I think it's a lot
and then
about
the,
applied odds. I mean, your
Right at
applied
this-
odds are, your reverse applied odds are significant this deep.
yeah, for sure, Larry. Also at the start of the video, I did promo the raise first in ranges for these two. So that might have been what you're thinking about here, Joey.
It's like
alright.
the gap concept, right? Like if we're gonna call a hand, we wanna be beating some of the stuff he's opening. And ace ten's not really beating that much. And
Versus
it's
the tightest,
offsuit and
versus the tightest position. How frequently are you flatting this hand?
I think this is a mix, like 50-50.
Most
I think I
70,
flat it.
35.
I flat this more than GTO says you should flat it.
not pure. Alright, 85% flat.
Okay,
15
lots
three
of
bet.
flat. Glad to hear that. Your range is protected by a very strong hand. And we get a 4-4-3 board. Here's all kinds of overpairs. We have a bunch of overpairs. Do we want to bet this low paired board combo? If so, how big?
Sometimes small, infrequently. It's gonna be a lot of checks.
Yeah, I think I like to check this personally.
30% bet probably small.
Something like that sounds good to me. And the rest check.
So I can get behind like a 60-30-10 strategy here. 60-32 strategy. All right. That's pretty good. We get a bet and a call. Is the 7 good for us? Not really. Is the 7 good for them? Not really.
I wish they kind of gave us more betting options. This is pretty.
Kind of limited. It's
Yeah.
good
All right.
back now.
By a show of hands, who wants to go 95 deep here? All right, seriously. Daddy,
Just kidding.
get muted and sent to ICM jail. All right. Check everyone. Anyone?
I think we polarize. We're gonna have. I think we're gonna have some close to pot and then checks.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
mostly check, maybe a small sliver
Yeah,
of,
but where does this hand fit in if you wanna polarize?
This
I would
hand
always
fits
check
in
here.
97% check, 3% 9.8.
yep.
There we go. Yeah, it's just a pure check. And check, is there anything to do but check here?
Check and win.
Check and chicken? Oh,
Oh.
he river does.
Oh,
Bastard.
Scam.
Oh. Okay. Ooh, are we gonna get splashy? Or is this
No.
just a,
I think we get to set line all our pairs.
It's too many players to act this deep behind us.
Mm.
does it ever call? Is there any slivers here?
I- Yeah, there's gotta be some slivers. I don't know how much
Yeah.
it folds, but
Surprising.
It is in here, but look, it is just a zero EV play. If you make a fold here, it is not bad. If the deuces, if you get a guy who says deuces never lose and you want to get in here, that's okay too.
Louis,
If your
Huh?
table is squeeze happy, then muck it. Otherwise, put in the two bigs.
you know what I've been noticing about GTO Wizard?
Mhm.
I don't know if it comes across in Pio or not, but the type of spots where we used to think was automatic set mine, I'm not really seeing that when I look at the solver.
So king with another Broadway. This is going to be very polar spot for us. Are we going to use this combo in our big bet range?
I think this is a check.
I think it's gonna mix. I
Might get
think a
in there a
lot,
little bit.
I
I
think
think
it's,
it's, I would lead check, but I wouldn't be surprised if it bets big sometimes.
I think it's gonna bet 4.7.
I am going to go 92% check, 8% big bet. 50% check and 35% big bet and a fair amount of small bet too. Right?
Yeah.
Mixing these three sizes, primarily pot.
And that's probably because that's a function of the king queen board and like we have to find bluffs. We have to find like bluffs and like the bottom of the pair is probably below the 5 want to bluff a lot.
So if 70% of our range is checking, we just have very few small bets. We've got some medium bets and we've got some large bets. And pocket twos is one of the ones that gets occasionally even the over bets. But all of these little pairs have pieces of this, right? Anything below the 5 gets to splash around a little bit. Then everything in the middle wants to check here. Right, and even like a hand like ace king, right, primarily checking on this board. And the idea, when you're 100 blinds deep, like if you have ace king on this board, it's not going to be great to be a 3-street value hand, because when you get called 3 streets 100 big blinds deep, top pair, top kicker, not always going to cut it. So we took check route and we get a very dangerous turn card. Is there anything to do but check here? I mean, he's checked twice as well.
Oh god, I really want to use this hit as a bluff because I don't know what other bluffs we really have here that are logical. Other than some of it, maybe we start bluffing some of our ace highs now. Like our bad ace highs, like our ace, like our wheel ace X.
Well, we're gonna have some spades that maybe we didn't bet on the flop because it wasn't. Remember, we were checking 70% of our range, so we're checking.
Yeah,
some spades
but
off.
like what spades do we have that don't have a pair or are ace high here? 10-9 is well, the like 9-8 of spades. It's probably about
Yeah.
it.
I'm with
Yeah.
it. We didn't bluff flop. Let's start bluffing. Let's go like, 9 or 14.
Right, and he's splashing big.
Let's go bananas.
Anyone else want to bet big or just check?
It's probably
I'm a
correct.
nit.
Yeah, in my game, I'm just giving up, but it's probably not correct.
I think that's actually pretty reasonable. I'm gonna do that a lot too here. The opponent's checked twice. The board has completed equity, so there is a straight here now. So it gets to, it sizes down a little bit, but.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was surprised it sized this down that much. I figured it would size down, but I thought it would have a lot more 3.9 than the really tiny bets, especially in
Yeah.
position.
like you're really targeting him to fold like ace-7 of hearts here, right? You're just kind of cleaning up your equity for pocket twos not to get 6 outed on the river.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, in game, I think I would just always check,
Oh,
but
do we call with sixth pair? When I say it like that, is that a clue?
We could raise.
Oh, you savage animals.
Yeah,
Raise the 13. All right,
I mean,
let's see how
again,
much.
it comes, yeah, it comes back to that function of what worse hands do we have here?
Got him to fold, huh?
Yeah. Well, we got him to full it worse hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
huh,
doesn't change very much there, but
Does,
that
if we raise, does he fold like a 5 ever? Does he fold like ace 5? That would be the question.
take a look at what he folds.
I don't
what
think
we-
he's betting ace 5.
You might bet it thin for value. You might bet it thin there. You might bet ace 5 thin.
So what are his
Nah.
folds? So he folds ace 5. He folds 7-6. He folds some jacks and some queens. Pocket tens. That raise is pretty good.
why was he
Doesn't-
betting ace nine for that size? What was the goal there?
For him, probably a value bet.
Okay,
Ace 9 at 2.5.
I don't know, it just
Take
seems
a look.
weird.
I think because that may fold, actually practically fold like it's like 3s and 4s sometimes.
Yeah,
2s,
like
3s and
it's a-
4s will fold sometimes.
He's targeting our deuces, huh?
Yeah, he's targeting the really kind of dirt bottom part of our range.
I guess it's
That's
like
what I
the
would assume.
same-
Because
same
because
as
we're
ace
if we're
jack.
gonna check those, yeah, because if we're gonna check deuces
quite.
all the way through, deuces, 3s and 4s. Yeah, an ace high bet should try to target those types of hands.
And like he uses some bigger sizing with some other hands here. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I never find this, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think I just never find this really small, like
yeah.
Yeah,
like
it seems
bet
here-
on
weird,
a
right?
river, on the river.
Here,
like this-
ace 3 is much lower EV. So this is where it's bluffing from, and it uses the bigger size for the bluff, and it uses the smaller size for the better value hand here. So, very interesting. All right, we'll do one or two more, then we'll switch it up. 7-6, is this gonna flop around in the water? Suited connector.
Let's do it.
No, not from this early position, I don't think.
I
Maybe.
think it might have 10% raises.
It's a fold because under the gun probably doesn't even open 7-6, so I don't think we get to call it.
I can't fold this.
It is primarily a fold, but still a call and a raise. Joe, you nailed that thing. If you're in here, how often is it a raise? 10%, 20% call, and 75% of the time it's good to go here. But we play it as a call, which is also pretty reasonable. 2 Broadway boards. Is this going to fit into our big bucket of bets or our high frequency check?
We can probably put this in the big, at a decent frequency, like, we're not really gonna be good by river, probably, if we don't bluff.
If we
Usually,
check
yeah,
this
yeah,
marginal big hand,
yeah, bottom pair, like usually turns itself, starts bluffing now. So like I would expect this to bet. As a general rule.
So
Would it be better if you had hearts or spades?
Well, we wouldn't
Well,
have,
you can't have hearts because it's 7 of hearts.
but it's 7-6 of spades. I would think 7-6 of spades just bets because it's a good hand.
Okay.
It's 7, I mean, just because it's got a, like it's a pair and a flush draw, that
Has a
those
lot
hands
of
will
equity.
always, yeah, those hands will always bet. I think the 7-6 of diamonds and 7-6 of clubs would bet. Because it's the hand that could be best at the moment, but vulnerable to being outdrawn.
So very, very low frequency check here. It really wants to bet. Primarily pot size. Let's take a
This-
look at it.
The spades might check a fair amount.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know, though. That one,
No, I would think spades.
76,
Yeah.
betting
Yeah.
all 76s.
alright, it's still just in there.
Yeah, just because I think usually pair plus flush draws like generally lean towards betting.
8-7, 8-7's doing more of what I thought 7-6 was gonna do.
Mm,
But
Yeah,
if we
that does-
look, all of these straight connected ones are all betting. Right? 7-6, 8-7, 9-8, 10-9, skips 10-jack, picks jack-queen, skips king-queen. But a lot of play throughout this straight connected line here.
checking king, queen, and mainly checking ace, queen is not something I would find usually in game.
Yeah, it only wants to bet with the ace queen suited here.
They're hands that can still have a lot of equity if you keep the pot smaller. But the more you bet, the more you condense his range, the less equity top pair is going to have.
Yeah, especially 100 big blinds deep, because as I think was mentioned before, like the whole idea of ace queen unimproved is not a 3-street hand in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, we're at an SPR of something like 12-1.
If, I wonder if we like had an opponent who's not protecting and never like checking aces to check raise or some stuff like that, if they would just turn into bets a lot more.
Well, most people, like when there's a player behind them, have like a, kind of a 70-30 check strategy where they're just checking a lot out of position, right? And some people check like 100% out of position. So I think like people will kind of unintentionally, naturally have a checking range here. But people who aren't balanced with bluffs will be checking and check raising value at value only. And that's the big thing, right? Is our game is built around having a balance of bluffs and value. And because our opponents tend to be more value heavy, they're just not going to be able to defend against our bluffs well enough.
Like under the gun should probably check a ton of, chuck a ton of like queen X, and a lot of players just don't.
Mhm.
All right, so we went for the pot size bet. Turns the double flush draw board, pairing middle card, and we get this lead. Is there anything to do but call here?
Ooh,
Hmm.
do we have to turn our hand into a bluff now? Like literally is our hand bad enough that like, I don't know what value calling really gives us. Because like when we call this bet, what do we do on any, we're just toast on any river, right? Like, there's no river that's going to help us unless
Sure.
a 7.
A club or a diamond, 7 or lower.
We can bluff some bad river cards though, can't we? Like we're getting better than 5-1 here. Is this a pot worth fighting for?
Yeah, remember, like the solver here is going to have not just a jack that they're doing this with, but like they're going to be doing this with a huge chunk of their range. Right? So let's take a look at what they're doing that with it. I think that's going to give us some help with the answer for what we're looking for.
Calling feels comfortable, but I think it's gonna have some, big raises in there.
I think it's gonna mostly, I got a feeling we're so far at the bottom of our range. I think it's gonna mostly raise.
So
I
our
got the spoiler.
opponent is betting this size with 86% of their range.
We've seen
Oh.
some fun donks today.
So every queen they have, every jack they have, but every ace high that we're beating, every king high that we're beating, all these straight draws that we're beating, we're just beating a lot of what they have here.
Plus, there's a combinatrix thing here going on too. The jack paired, which makes all of his jack hands stronger, but it also numerically knocks down the number of possible combos he can have of jacks now.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Not even just calling, never calls, always raises. Wow.
And it's a function of the fact, I think, that we have so many stronger hands in our range here that could call, that this hand is just dirt bottom, right? Like we're gonna probably fold the pairs below the 7, but this hand is probably like the worst, one of the worst hands we have, but it also like it blocks some stuff, like it blocks, boats. So it has some like properties that are helpful as a bluff.
Yeah, it's all the 5 high flushes, 6 high flushes, the 7, all 3 combos, the 8, 7, 8, all the combos, 9, 8, both the suited ones, 10, 9, every one. Like there is just a ton of raising here, 30% raising that I would not be doing. This is interesting.
Yeah, we're just. I
But
mean,
again,
Can we see how we respond if he were to check instead of donking?
sure. Well, it's tough because it's only 15% of his range that checks.
Yeah, but it's still like 15% of a lot of the combos in range, right?
Yeah, so now it's 60% checking and then blasting. And again, blasting this whole line here. Essentially everything that we were raising when he bets, we are blasting when he checks. It's all
It's
the
pretty
same.
similar.
yeah, it just makes a lot of sense here, like to tape, because we just have so many other better hands here that we could put into a call line, and we really have to use this not as a bluff.
I can't imagine we're putting the rest of our stack in here. The flush completes, the straight completes. Like this just says give up, go home. Beat ace high spades.
Where we maybe
Yeah,
just.
oh,
Oh.
wow.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, you have to, like, it's gross, but I think once you get here with this hand,
Yeah,
you just
we just told the
pile.
story. We just told the story. We gotta write the ending. Oh, yeah.
You have to, like,
Yeah.
I don't, like. There's just no, like, universe in which we don't take this line. Like, once you commit to that turn
Yeah.
bet, you, on a card that completes a lot of stuff. I mean, that completes a bunch of stuff for us, right? That completes like, completes our backdoor flushes. We're gonna have like, we're gonna have Jack 9 here sometimes, right?
So
You know?
Pete,
Yeah,
can
Yep.
we actually go back to the river?
Sure.
Because like I'm wondering what UTG has as continues when he goes bet raise. Like how much of the range does he continue, or do they continue with? That is
Are there
gonna,
any rivers that we don't bluff? It feels like based on that, we probably
Yeah.
just bluff like every river.
no,
yeah, exactly, that's two questions. Like, I guess, yeah, what rivers do we not bluff? And the other thing too is like how often do we have to be right with that river jam? I don't think we have to be right that often, like what, 40% of the time?
So
yeah, but you can't bluff everything or you'll be bluffing too much.
So
No,
if
fair enough.
if we add up his value, 3% of his range is quads, 18% is full houses, and 7% is flushes. right? So like 28% of his range is flush or better. And then another 12% trips and, 20% aces and kings, right? And
I
then,
think to our river jam though, he folds aces, kings, and lots of top pairs, lots of one, like queen X hands.
Yeah, and that's the
Oh.
thing, right? Like, because like,
take a look. Yeah, he folds aces
Because
and king.
because it's really only about 40% of his range is auto calls.
He
So
starts mixing his trips. Wow.
Can you do the breakdown of like our strategy on river? Across different river?
Sure. So. We are just jamming our full houses, which were a big portion of our range here. Flushes,
mean, like-
quads.
Oh, sorry. I mean, you can do this
Oh.
first, but I meant across,
Okay.
the cards, the different river cards.
Could you
How do
do?
we see it?
I don't know if
Yeah.
you could do that on rivers. I think you can only do that. I think you can only do that in turns. Unless there's a way that I'm not familiar with.
Oh, really? No.
What?
He's looking for all the turns.
Although you're looking for different, like what we would do
I-
on different rivers.
Yeah.
Like,
I
like,
don't-
like if it's like a brick, like if it was a brick three of
Alright, just put an
clubs.
offsuit. Yeah, I guess
I
that.
don't think GTO Wizard has that yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll
They're
just
for
look
only
at
different
fours.
cards?
turns.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So again, he's checking range here. Really. And when we jam on a brick,
Well, are we jamming the brick?
Yeah, we're jamming the
Yeah.
brick about as
Right.
often. I'm guessing we're jamming it about as often
Yep.
as we jam the.
Yeah, okay.
60% jams.
Guess we just bluff like everything. Maybe
You
not a
gotta be
queen
re-
river.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that
hard
might-
flush drives it down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the Queen River actually would probably, he would probably start to donk shove on us some percentage of the time.
Yeah, when the spade's complete, we jam even more, 70%. So,
I guess we just have like so few natural bluffs that we're just taking that one for
Yeah,
any river.
all right, we'll
Yeah.
do one more here. So, we called a raise and flopped middle set on a monotone board. Our opponent leads small.
Build.
Build the pot. Build the pot.
Really?
big?
I call here.
How many raises do you think we have on a monotone board? Where he still see bets?
none. I would be shocked if we have any raises here.
We can raise like 10-9 spades, jack-9 spades,
How many leads do you
7,
think
8,
he should have
or-
on the monotone board?
6-7 spades. How many what?
Lead,
How-
maybe
how
10.
many-
Oh,
How
Maybe
many leads out of position does he have on a monotone board?
Like 10-15%, like probably not many,
No.
but
No, I think it's a little more. His lead range might be 30%.
So this board, remember, there, like he still has all the over pairs and a lot of them have a big spade here. Right? So he has like, pocket tens with a spade, pocket kings with a spade, ace king with a spade. So
do those hands bet though? Like when you have the kings or the king of spades, are you betting that or are you checking those hands?
Well,
Because wouldn't you be more inclined to bet your hands that more vulnerable top pairs, the pairs like the queens or jacks? I'm not even sure you would bet those at all, but I'm just saying if you were going to bet, wouldn't you be more inclined to bet the ones without the spade?
well, before we find out, let's take a look at how much of his range is betting here. On this
Yeah,
one.
that's a good question.
oh, a lot more than I thought.
No, that's us.
Oh.
That's
okay.
our response. His response, 85% check, 15% betting. It's always betting small. and it is doing it with virtually a slice of everything. So again, like, and this is a deep stack thing, right? It's not which combos do you choose, it's how often do you do it. Right? This is going to come up a little more often, but yeah, right? So it's going to be very spade driven, right? The king of spades is betting a lot. Queen of spades is going to bet a lot, right? Queen high flush, the queen high flushes. Well, part of it too.
And
He
look-
also
look at-
has flopped some flushes.
Yeah,
Those hands do want to bet, because those hands want some value, immediate value and some protection against better like ace high,
Yeah.
king high, like.
I think
Floats.
one of the things is when it's a locked up board, there's locked up equity here.
Mhm.
They don't have to bet large, but we have to be selective when we're going to be raising him.
Generally, like when facing leads, you just don't do a lot of raising in general.
Sure, I can
Can we
believe
call it a
80%.
C bet instead of a lead? It's
Sure.
not a lead. It's-
Yeah, this is C bet.
Oh, C-bet, I'm sorry, why am I thinking
Yep.
that? Never
I
mind.
mean, we've all been saying lead, but I
Yep.
don't know.
No,
guess
no, you're
uh,
fine.
He's-
Similar
He's
terminology.
checked so often so far.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe this is where I'm getting like twisted. All right, no, you're fine. Like, yeah, I just don't think we're gonna like raise this very much at all.
Well,
Okay.
to
I've
play
been talked
devil's
into it.
advocate, to play devil's advocate, which hand needs the most protection that we have?
This
Maybe
is one of
like,
them, right?
maybe we would wanna raise something like nines without a, nines or tens without a spade. That just feels gross.
This
Alright.
is like one of the few combos we have that can actually improve and beat a flush.
Just a call.
Okay, it is just calling.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
there
right
is some
before he hit
raising
that,
here.
I was like, it would be sick if he 3-bet us after we raise.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just not a lot of raising. The king high flush wants to raise,
A little bit.
and the ace high, and no, not the ace high flush. Ace four of spades wants to raise, ace three bluffs. Then these combos, straight draws.
Pretty
with
much no
pair.
raising, none.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, effectively, it's no raising. The slivers here are like, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
they're pointless, but like probably not even worth worrying about.
oh,
Ugh.
well, now it's a very easy call, isn't it?
We have 1,
Yeah,
4, 7, 10. 10 outs.
22%.
Yeah,
call and get the 5 of clubs on the end.
yeah.
Massive pot.
Well, when we call, he also might check river here sometimes too.
But we're in position, we can still bet.
Oh, the blast.
Alright, I'm out.
Yeah, I think without a spade, we cannot call here.
I mean,
And I would assume our hand's just literally like, it's calling with a spade and folding without.
I can't believe it's calling 11%.
I can't believe he triple barreled into us with king ten of diamonds. And got us to fold a set.
Or flush boards are so weird.
Now, they're
And that's because he's picking slivers of just everything to bet.
we're
And there's
flush.
like no natural bluff. It's like, how do you can't have any blocker type stuff. You just have to pick like,
You just pick a hand and
I
you
don't
just,
even know how you pick, right?
no, and I think this is one of the weird. So like, what would you pick though? Like if you were to think about it a lot, because like in practice, like what would you pick? Like, would you want to pick a hand like that maybe blocks pins that might be inclined to call like straights? Maybe like, like hands like sevens and sixes that at least block straights, him having 7-6. I mean, I don't even know, like,
Well, the king ten.
I like where your head's at.
Off, maybe.
like you have to think of hands that like block the hands that the strongest hands in his range that might be feel inclined to call off.
Well, on 4 flush boards, it's hard to get a blocker because you would need a spade to be a blocker.
Yeah, so you can't think in terms of blockers. I think you need to start thinking in terms of the relative strength of your opponent's hands and trying to think of what hands do we not want our opponent to have in this spot? Because he's always going to call with a spade. So that's kind of irrelevant. So it's like, what else can you get to fold?
Might just bluff from the bottom up. Like king high is one of our, it's not one of our worst hands, but a lot
It's
of other
interesting.
stuff has a pair or.
When he chooses to bluff the flop with the king high, it double barrels on the spade a lot. And then obviously when it gets to the river, king 10 primarily just jams it in, or primarily just goes for the big bet, half pot.
Yeah. Yeah, and interestingly,
Yeah.
it doesn't do a lot of bluffing with the pairs. It bluffs with the more just the queen high. Like I think that whoever said the king high, queen high stuff, I think was like spot on.
Except it's not exactly what I thought, cuz then like 10-9 and queen 10 and those are like worse hands, right? But they're just giving up.
I think it's just it's just because you can't bluff everything.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe it
let's
unblocks more of his flop
on
continues.
up here. So we looked at this. Let's go on the other side. Where we thin and verse 3-bet. Okay. So we're gonna have some raise first in decisions and then some 3-bet responses. Okay, we get a call and we get this type of a flop. So we'll look at some general strategies in a sec here. Yes, we'll take a look at this now that we have a flop. I was going to let us play this hand first, but this will help us kind of construct what we're going to do before we just kind of
Check.
start around. So below 9, we have a primarily check strategy. A few outliers with paired and tripped boards. We're going to have some betting and it's going to be pretty polarized when we do that. Once we start flopping 9 high boards and 10 high boards, we get some bets. Again, polarizing around paired cards. When we pair the cards that start getting really good for our range, we are not polarizing quite so much. Again, queen, queen, not polarizing. King, king. Oops. Not polarizing, but a little bit more polarization around the king 10, king jack area. So broadways. Ace low, low, almost pure check. Ace mid, mid, almost pure check. Ace starting to get connected to the big cards, much more betting. But again, not a lot of big betting. So we're going to see a ton of checking here. So with that in mind, queen jack 7, backdoor flush, backdoor straight, check or bet. Let's take a spin. This one has a lot of betting. But if it goes check, check, we pick up some diamonds, 100 bigs deep.
Oh, I thought we bet.
It was 40% betting. So it was, and 40% small, 20% big, and then 34% check.
Okay,
Check
would-
team was also okay.
I would double barrel this.
Okay.
I think after check, check, we can bet too.
I think you can bet. They didn't bet pretty big here. Like
I
actually,
didn't say bet two, as in bet the size of two, but bet also.
oh, okay,
Ah.
bet two. All right. Oh, okay.
I might
Alright.
check raise here. Or check call even.
I think we
Okay.
might have some over bets too.
I think this is an overbet. This could be, this is gonna be either like an overbet or a check. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like small.
I
very
like
often.
check raise because I think we don't necessarily need to start bluffing ace high, but then if he does bet, we're probably not good anymore and it's a pretty sweet check raise.
Yeah, the only thing is that like cutup's gonna check back a lot of stuff, like a lot of they're gonna check back a lot of jacks, they're gonna check back a lot of tens, nines that we're gonna have to get to.
We could still bluff river maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think those fold. So
Yeah,
How much of his better aces would he check behind?
probably a lot. Actually, I think he probably check back a bunch of ace X there.
How many of the better aces can we get to fold?
All the ones that have clubs. Right?
Yeah.
probably all of them if
One
they're
here.
unpaired. Well,
You're
not
gonna
all of
get
them,
all of them by
not
the
ace
river.
10.
He has no he has no suited aces with diamonds.
Ace
No,
10
but-
calls, but the rest
Mhm.
probably out.
The six was good for him. He's got more 8-9s, more 6s, more 7s.
Yeah, I mean marginally, like a few, like he
Oh,
has
I think-
7-6.
It's
Got it.
even over betting larger than I wanted to go.
So it has a bit of small betting, which is probably just looking to clean up equity against clubs here. It's a tiny bit of check, but the primary idea is that when it goes check, check, we have a lot of queens here that we're gonna wanna bet and bet pretty big against the flush draw and against the straight draw. So we're gonna batch that with bluffs, and their bluffs are if our value is gonna take this size, we're gonna have some bluffs that take this size as well.
Yeah, but this is a pretty like board where a lot of the river is gonna could change a lot of things, so usually want to bet big in these spots. I'm surprised over betting. I thought it might go like 8.9. Oh, well,
Alright,
well, that's
Ooh,
Sunday, Monday, happy days.
Vegas and the Mirage.
Is it ever all in?
it's not unreasonable.
Maybe just 50. Just 50.
alright, so when.
Is
check-
this hit good enough to put in our small bet trap type range, or do we never want to do that? Like not small, but like third. Because you're gonna want to have some nuts in your small bet range to induce
Okay.
bluffs.
Alright. If you're gonna bet small out of position. It's
I would
gonna
do that with
be-
like ace 10 with a diamond.
Go ahead, Joey.
Well, ace 10 would be a straight.
Yeah.
But hands like maybe you decided to would be like ace jack, jack 10. They're the types of hands that you want to bet small, but I don't think you would bet them large on the turn. So a lot of your small bet hands aren't in there.
Yeah, but we will have small
Bet full,
bets.
right?
Yeah,
Small
we're
bet.
gonna have some bet, definitely gonna have some bet folds, right?
What
Um,
hands?
Like the ones you said, like Jack 10.
Do they bet that, do they bet 2x pot?
No, that's small and fold.
It's like only queen jack maybe.
Yeah, queen jack might, I'm thinking maybe a hand like with like sevens, maybe wanna
Well,
do that? Like,
Our-
you're like sevens and sixes maybe wanna do that? Bet and then like. I don't know, do they bet call off?
I think our opponent like has lots of value here that gets to call a big bet from us. Because our opponent would have checked back some king jack, would check the flop with some king queen. Right? Would check the flop with ace queen here occasionally.
Yeah.
Right? So our opponent's gonna have some really strong hands that's gonna have a hard time folding here. So I think we can bet pretty big for value. But maybe not all in.
Yeah, I would think maybe
Yeah.
you would go like
I
2/3 or
think if you wanna
3/4.
induce 21's a good size to induce a raise.
Yeah, so it's gonna mix the
Yeah.
small.
Wow, the 12 was in there a lot.
Yeah,
12 was-
that's, yeah, because usually like I would think this would be like, you would have like a third and like a 2/3 or 3/4 size.
I was kind of team Joey. I wasn't sure after 2x potting turn what we would really wanna bet third with. That arrives here.
Because we bet more with,
Ace, king?
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, ace king's gonna be there, like, we would probably bet queen jack this way for sure. Because obviously we wanna, if we didn't, would we ever bet, would we ever, we would probably never check. Queen jack though.
Yeah, so all our sets want to bet this size. A few bluffs that contain a 6 want to bet this size. Right, 6-5. 8-7. These are bluffs that are this size. Ace king wants to bet this size.
Yeah, I just,
Queens and jacks. So we have a bunch of value that bets this size, so it just picks a few bluffs to go with it.
and then we wanna have some, I guess I just remember that part of the tournament masterclass
Mhm.
where Jonathan Little talks about like, when you have like small bets in your. When you have like a small bet size on the river, you wanna make sure that you protect that range with some nut
Oh,
hands.
yeah. I just didn't think there would be that much small betting because I just couldn't envision what parts of our range would wanna go that large on the turn.
Yeah,
To
I
me-
mean, sets make a
Yeah.
lot of sense, right? Sevens and sixes make a lot of sense to do that.
Yeah, but eights and nines, that don't make sense.
Eights and nines betting small for,
They
value.
block the straight,
It's a
Yeah.
bluff.
Yeah,
Is it?
but
so they
why would they be doing 2x on the turn?
because they
unless-
would mimic the value of like the draw 89 here.
Unless it's just tiny slivers.
Yeah, we don't have a lot. I don't think you would practice have a lot of eights and nines here.
Choose that size on the turn. Let's take a peek.
We
Not
could look at the
eights,
range height.
and not a lot of nines betting that size either. Right? You're right. It is just slivers
yeah.
of these two. So it's not very representative of how frequent these occur in the hands.
I guess
don't think
part
it-
of
I
the
don't-
problem too is he'll have a lot of flushes in range as well.
Oh
Right.
my goodness.
So we can't go crazy. Like if we have a set, we can't go crazy on the river.
Yeah, no,
That makes
exactly.
it- That makes a really good call too with the queen of diamonds.
Yeah, like he folded this hand.
Oh, he folded? I thought he called us.
No, he folded ace queen with the queen of diamonds. Savage.
To a third? Damn, we got
To a
owned.
third. All right. Very standard raise. Just a call. Oh, locked up equity, no backdoor flush, out of position. Check or bet.
We could triple this off
I-
sometimes, cuz we block both ends of the straight. We have good equity to improve.
Danny is putting the pedal to the metal slowly but surely.
I think this is mostly, this bet size is gonna be small and frequent. I just don't know about ace. Eight,
Remember, this guy's flatting ace king here offsuit.
yeah, I know, like, having the
Not
aces.
that much, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, he should, actually, you should probably do quite a bit more flatting with in that
Yeah.
spot than you would
And
think.
and he has king nine suited, eight, nine, or not, yeah, eight,
Yeah.
nine. suited.
I think we bet this. I think having the 8 is kind of relevant.
So it is mixing heavily, but betting small is just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
When we check, are we check raising?
I would be surprised if we are. I don't think we really want to build the pot.
I think this one will check give up if we check.
Well, I think it might check call, but I think like if you want to check raise, you want to check raise with any of the other three combos.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So when
Yeah,
we
because-
check.
Yep.
And our opponent, that's.
Let's say he bets two.
Give
Oh,
him
no,
the small
bets,
size,
yeah,
4.7. And our ace eight,
pure call, looks like.
there's nothing that raises here.
No raising. Okay, cool.
Yeah, ace king just calls.
This is a lot like that monotone board we just saw.
Yeah,
It's
like
locked up
there's-
equity.
Yeah, there's just nothing our range gets to do but fold its trash and call with this. And hope he polarizes his turn. Okay, so we bet and now we have the nuts. Do we want to bet? Do we want to check the check raise? Can't imagine we want to check the check raise.
We probably bet like 9 to target his two pairs and flush draws and 9x that won't wanna fold yet.
Yep, that sounds good.
So what are we gonna do if we face a raise?
Jam.
I don't know. We could be getting free rolled some of the time, but.
Yeah, true.
Oh, it
The
just
problem
checks a
is,
lot.
like, he has the ace of spades here sometimes, right? So. Interesting, it pure checks. Let's take a look at our range as a whole here. The nature of this now even more locked up board.
I think is it just a
Oh.
fact of being, we're either way ahead or we're like way ahead, way behind now?
Yeah, like it only bets with an ace. There's no bluffs.
So you just don't. Yeah, right, yeah, exactly, right, like,
And I don't know why it's going so crazy with the 9 either. Because to me, it would make more sense to not bet with the 8 or 9 because it blocks them from having the dummy end.
So I think what it does is it compresses them to having two pairs. So when you block with the 9, you know that the board pairing is more dangerous because they don't have the straight here on either end very often.
Can we talk about this sizing? We're just all in.
yeah, like 5%,
What is that
like
fu-
2%
No,
of the
it was,
time.
it was either all in or 3x pot. Those were the only sizings used.
I
No,
didn't even notice that, to be honest. I
Yeah,
gotta take
I
it.
did. I was expecting a lot of small betting.
Like,
but this is
yeah.
Like pretty much all or nothing.
It's, yeah, 1/3. Yeah, so, okay, like 30 there, 99, gross. Uh-huh.
I think.
Wow.
3x or 9x pot.
Oh, man.
I mean, with spades, we have the free roll, so I get it. And then the other one block the, yeah, okay.
Okay, when we have the ace of spades, we get to do it as a bluff. Right?
We're not bluffing. We have we have a
No.
straight, we're protected from the,
Yeah. And because it wants to do it when we have the ace of spades, we get to do it with a bunch of other stuff too. So,
Yeah.
We can maybe bluff him off a chop on a spade river. With the offsuit one.
okay, well, is this a 9x spot?
so bet small, call, check, check.
When he doesn't, when he doesn't bet at all, I
Mhm.
think that takes aces out of his range pretty much. I don't want to say entirely, but almost entirely. So now I don't think you get to go particularly big here. I think now you're just trying to hope that he calls you with like a 9 or 2 pair. I don't know if those hands are gonna call anything more than maybe 2/3.
So are you assuming that the solver's not keeping in enough aces to protect its range?
I'm assuming that when the solver doesn't bet, that it's mostly devoid of ace X. I mean, it will have some, but when it doesn't bet, it doesn't have, it probably doesn't have the ace. It doesn't have the ones with the spade redraw for sure. Cause I think those would want to bet and push some equity.
I would just bet 3 here, I think.
I can go either 3 or 7. I think probably either are fine.
I wanna get called by 2 pair.
I would probably go 15 in game, looking to
Yeah.
get called by a 9 and some 2 pairs.
Yeah, I think against humans, I think you would do that. I'm just thinking what the
Okay,
solver would.
7.
Yeah,
7, very good answer. Strong EV on all of them.
yeah, I think in practice, if you over bet this, you're gonna get called by a 9 some percentage of the time.
Folds 2 pair,
Nice. Oh, he folded.
unblocking
Fine.
our bluff with the spade.
Yeah, I
Gross.
mean, the solver, I think, is just gonna call with a 9 or an ace there and fold everything else. And maybe rip some like any aces that they trapped. Oh, hello.
Alright, paired, connected, flush draw board. This reeks of a hand where we want to have a very polar strategy. But paired boards make us want to bet small. I'd be very inclined to check here.
I would normally check here.
Actually, when we were looking at the 10-10, like those paired boards were actually betting larger.
Yeah.
Which was counterintuitive to
Okay.
me, because you usually bet small on paired boards.
Yeah, I thought it was,
But is it smaller? Isn't it like you bet on smaller pairs, you bet bigger, and then on bigger pairs, you bet smaller?
let's take a look at that pair strategy again.
You know, there's some like weird heuristic.
At 100 big blinds, I feel so lost. I realize how bad I am. Cause all I do is study at 40 and lower.
You're better than everyone who's not studying tonight.
Yeah,
Peter,
I know.
Yep.
you see where reports is?
Yep.
Underneath, there's filters. Click on filters and you can filter for just paired boards.
So we gotta.
Oh,
go back.
okay. It wasn't the 10 pairs. It was the 10 and other cards pairing.
Oh, I see what you mean. Down there.
Yeah, 10 and then deuce, deuce, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5.
Yeah, like when you have like 10, 4, 4, you will bet bigger.
Okay, so the pattern I'm seeing is when there's a pair of cards that nobody has in range.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then your
high
top
card
pairs
with
that
two
need
low.
protection.
Gotta make sure I uncheck this.
Ah, yes.
Get out of there, wizard. Alright, check. Small bet sometimes. Which is fine. We have anything to do but call here.
Pure
Not in my
call.
mind.
Huh?
I would always call, yeah.
The brick of diamonds shows up. Is there anything to do but check here?
Yeah, they're, I don't think we have it. We never have any leads on this, on that card.
Shifts no equity. 55% pot. That's small again.
Still have to call.
Yeah, pure call. Just, I don't think there's anything else you do here. We're,
Yeah.
we're just hoping he has spades that brick. We're hoping for a brick
Yeah.
turn.
Or king, queen.
Brick
Oh,
river
queen.
that.
Oh,
That's a
what-
brick.
That's a brick and then we're just calling off.
Yeah,
I think we're just check calling. We're just check calling down.
up to 2, pot size on out.
He's probably gonna go
Yeah,
like
if he-
2/3.
Oh, Peter, you were hovering it. How did you know?
I was
Jonathan
kind of
Little.
like, is this the spot where you just put 2.5 chips in here? Right? But
Are you
Really?
trying to induce?
Yep.
What's going on?
No, it's a
Well-
blocking bet.
right, you have second
Oh,
pair here.
yeah, we are out of position. Like, that makes some sense.
And like, if we think of it, when he's bet twice and we've called twice, his range is still really, really wide. And our range has gotten narrower and narrower because we've responded to his aggression twice. So we tend to be more value heavy here. And the board has run out brick. Like, we don't have a lot of draws here that we get here with. We only have marginal made hands and strong hands. And so, like, we would have an induction bet here once in a while.
But won't he respond to this basically the same as he would respond if we checked? I don't really see the point. Like, what, is he gonna call stuff that? Is he just gonna call ace high sometimes? Like, ace high spades maybe would call sometimes?
I think by betting this, he piles on you less.
Yeah.
He stuffs on you less, like not a lot less, but probably enough that that it has some function in that regard. That would be my hunch.
If he already double barreled and then he pots it, are you happy calling with a 9 here?
No, of course not. But my point is if we bet 2.5, he's still gonna pot it. Like, it doesn't really change. If he's sitting here with king, queen, or, king, jack or something, like, is he gonna be
Sure,
like, oh,
let's-
he bet 2, I give up now?
Let's take a look at how his strategy changes.
He doesn't raise us as often as he would bet if we checked.
So when we bet this,
I don't know that's true.
well, we're gonna find out right now.
Yeah.
So we get 14% folds. He calls 42% of the time.
And we
he
beat some of those
blasts-
hands. Yeah.
He blasts 30% of the time. So we face 30% blasts.
Okay, so he is just
40%
calling with
calls.
stuff that we will beat.
Yeah, 8
Sometimes.
7s, 9 8, 9 7.
When we check,
Wasn't
Uh,
that 40% blast? 9% all in and almost 30% raise.
Yeah, it's 45 against something like 35, 37 or something like that.
yeah, so here, like, he has 36 and 7. So he's 42% blast. And when we do the 2.5 size, a bunch of that gets converted into just calling. Right? He drops down here from 45 to 37. And a bunch of that becomes a call. So we face a bunch less jams here.
Yeah,
we do
it's
this
6% of his range that is no longer.
Yeah. And
Bluffing
we
us.
get a thin sliver of value. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's the premise.
Yeah, we generate 14% folds here as well. So we do fold a little bit of stuff.
I
mean,
guess
he
we
called-
also get to bluff, like, we can do this with some misdraw stuff and,
Yeah.
occasionally fold out stuff.
Yeah,
that
I
we
mean, he
shouldn't
calls
have.
with ace queen. He calls with ace jack. He calls with king queen off sometimes. Like he's gonna call with. We're actually getting, again, we're getting that kind of like that sliver of value. And I think in practice, if you wanted to bet something more like a quarter here, you probably get called by some of those same hands and make more money.
Yeah,
And probably not,
remember,
and probably not get bluffed as much as you think because your opponent may not suddenly feel super inclined when they have like the pocket jacks here to just like stuff it on you.
yeah, like we're doing this with full houses, trips, over pairs, second pairs, and complete garbage. Right? So we have all of our best hands that do this. All of our like third pairs, low pairs, ace highs, and king highs are all just checking. And then stuff that's worse than king high. So queen high, jack eight, queen eight, right? So queen high, jack high, and all these 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5s. All of these stuff that bricked and no draw hands are going for it. Right? And it's balanced by all of these super strong hands here. So, but he gives us the Stuffosaurus. This just the fold?
Foldosaurus.
I don't know.
Ooh, it's close. It's plus
Zero
you
EV,
need a
yeah.
call. Sick. Oh, look at him punt off. Ace four.
Wait, he had a
100
four
bigs.
in his hand.
Yeah.
He
Doesn't beat
could
a
have just
9.
called.
Yeah.
He beat 6-7 though.
All right. So 10 low, low. Are we going to bet? Is this hand going to be one that wants to bet?
Probably a little
Maybe,
bit. Opening,
maybe a little, yeah.
opening a lot of tens.
I think we're gonna check this a lot.
When we bet, we wanna
Yeah.
bet big and I don't really wanna bet this big.
I don't know.
I
If,
guess.
do we bet this big? A board like this big? Do we bet low card boards where we don't have a range in major like
So equities,
not a range advantage that big? Because he's gonna have yeah, we have the overpairs here, but we all have we each have all the sets. Like
If you had pocket kings, would you want to bet big here?
I'd probably check. Eh,
What
Right.
about ace 10 of spades?
what about ace 10 of diamonds?
Ooh. Let's take a peek see, just to check. Check, check. Ooh, we got a belly. Flop one, check, check. Probe the gutter.
now I think we're starting to go for it. Probably small-ish to small to medium. I don't think we would go much.
What is small? Pick a color.
Oh god, like maybe we'd go half. It's
third,
either a third or a half. Like I don't think we'd have to go that big. We're trying to get like some of the random ace high, king high stuff to start folding.
It can check with just
Little
taking
bit of everything.
gutter down there,
Yeah.
and it can bet all of these sizes, right? So not really a spot where I don't think we get to worry about the minutia of it so much. Oh, pull them out.
Oh, good bet, good bet.
Knew it was coming. Uh-oh,
3-bet pot.
danger.
Wait, didn't we wanna look at our, flop strategy there?
We can. Which one was that? Back eight.
The top one,
Here it is.
yeah.
Yeah, our flop strategy was 99% check on the specific hand we had, but the general heuristic for 10 mid low with a flush draw.
Drum roll.
Lots of checking, a little bit of betting. Our offsuit betting is going to be driven by having a spade here a lot. Right, with the ace and the king,
And it is
and
small.
the queen. Yep. And then our suited stuff is going to be the 10. It's going to bet some jacks, which have an over to the 10. And then it's going to have some 10s that have straight draws that want to bet, or have straight interaction that can turn equity that want to bet. So not a ton of it. When we get
Okay.
3 bets,
Go back to that real quick. I wanted to point out a pattern.
Sure.
I just don't want to assume that everybody would know this pattern.
sure, give us your insight, Joey.
On that flop, the hands that wanted to bet the largest would be the jacks and queens on the flop.
Yeah, jacks, queens, and ace 10, I would
So
assume.
if you look at the ones where it's the bluffs where it's pulling some of the big bets, or the hands that match the jacks and queens.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very common. Yeah, jacks, queens, and ace 10s want to bet the most. Aces want to bet small. Kings also are still in that ballpark of wanting to bet pretty big. And so it chooses this kind of block of hands that would go around it with that. So
Yep.
Right on.
3 bets. Do we defend this offsuit bottom of range hand?
Not very often.
Fold.
Never.
Never.
100 big blinds deep, our offsuit stuff is going to suck out of position. So I should say this before there, but are you defending ace jack? Are you defending ace queen? Are you defending king queen? Because that might be a little skewy. Yeah. Ace king and ace queen.
Ace jack's the one I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
That's
that's a leak for me. Like I'll always defend ace, jack, and king, queen there, and I know that it's not right. No, I just do 100%. It's just like,
I happily fold king, queen.
or I'll sometimes turn that into the like
the
YOLO
4-bet.
4-bet, to the YOLO 4-bets.
Pretty much against population, they're easy folds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I know this. I just don't do it. I'm just not.
It's so yeah,
It's
it's
when I'm
also
playing the crazy Russian with the 14% 3-bet, I'm like,
Oh yeah, that's when you go orange.
yeah. Yeah, if you're against Louis Philippe, or myself, maybe you want to stick around there with those hands because we're going to be pretty splashy. Well, look at him 3-bet jack 10 off.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's a 3-bet. You should do it.
Yep.
Okay, we get 3-bet now. Do we call?
Yes, sir.
We 4-bet.
yeah.
Can we
Where-
4-bet this?
Where's it pulling 4-bets from?
Yeah, this deep, it could be a 4-bet for sure.
It's gonna pull. Because king, jack, king 10 suited should 4-bet here. Yeah, I mean, I would think this is I don't think this is a pure 4-bet or a
No.
primarily 4-bet, but it's gonna do some 4-betting with this hand for sure.
I think there's gonna be some, I don't know, I actually don't know where.
I would
It's
pure-
gonna
I would
be
pure
your
call
10s and
here.
it's gonna be your 10s and it's gonna be your 10 suited 10s and suited 9s, and then
Right.
in these spots, it's usually gonna be like your
Call.
ace nine, king 9.
I think it's
Most
too
people
good,
call.
too
Like-
good to 4-bet.
Just call.
100% call.
So, like, I think king queen and king jack are going to be too good to 4-bet fold. I think
like,
king 9 is definitely going to be doing this.
Yeah, king 10, king 9, maybe.
Yeah.
King
And it's
jack,
going to mix.
it mixes king jack sometimes.
Jacks, queens, ace, king, kings.
Yeah, this is the one where I try to pull this a lot more because I don't I don't bluff this. There's two regions I don't bluff enough, and it's the king 10, king 9, king jack region, and it's the middle like suited connector type hands.
Man,
These ones are
Incredible.
able to play a 3-bet pot pretty well. And think of it this way. These ones are still kind of at the top of the 3-bet pot range, as well as ace queen. Like these ones are at the bottom of a 3-bet pot range, and so they make good 4-bet candidates. Right? Same with these ones here. Yeah, and like, yeah, I gotta be honest. When I get 3-bet, I'm pure calling 10s and under.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm doing a lot of
Interesting
pure
to-
calling through. I'm pure calling jacks a lot against population.
It'd be interesting to see if the 3-betters like smaller big blind, how that kind of shifts our response when we have
Well, that's gonna
position.
be our last stage tonight. We should probably move to it in another hand or two here.
Yeah.
So we get a queen high board, 3-bet pot. We are just pretty much checking everything. Are we gonna defend this against this micro bet? Is this just some of the worst stuff we get here?
What to do here?
I
Out of
think we just
position.
fold it.
I
I
wonder
don't even
if-
like saying anything because 80% of the time at 100 big blinds here, I'm wrong. I fold though. I fold and it's gonna say call.
I'm pretty sure to this size because we have to defend
of
so much. I
position.
think this
We
hand,
wrap around the queen.
exactly. I think that's why you call. And I think you would
We have
fold
a
something like
spade.
king 8 or king nine, king 9, but I think you would call like king 10 and king jack.
Yeah, it's not terrible to open fold, but yes, it's gonna call some.
So if I'm gonna defend my king jacks, I'm gonna defend ones that have the flush equity here.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna give up on these ones because I
Hearts.
think
hearts and spades.
I also have enough aces that I get to float here that I don't need to float a king.
I don't know that.
We'll have a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that we
Insane.
float a lot of aces here. Like, are we floating ace 5 of diamonds with no other equity? Are you folding like are you floating ace 7 of diamonds
Ooh,
here?
yeah, I'm definitely in here with ace 5 of diamonds.
Well, ace,
That
I
has
mean,
a lot more
maybe not ace 5, maybe like ace 7, ace 8 of diamonds, the things that don't have like natural, like,
Oh, no.
No, but like ace 4 and ace 5, I'm for sure floating here. Ones that can pick up
yeah.
wheel or can pick up the straight draw with the
Can
3
we,
to
can we look
6.
at that? Can we look at that?
Yep.
Paul?
For sure.
Because I think that out of position, we need to have hands that have more natural equity, and I don't know that those hands necessarily do.
So king jack and king 10 hang around. All the worst kings get to fold, right? 6 is a pair. And yeah, ace 4 and ace 5 are primarily folds without the flush equity.
Yep.
But are primarily raises when they have the flush equity.
Which that makes sense, right? Like, yeah, I mean, like when you have backdoors, I'm just sticky, like when you don't have the backdoor flush equity.
Yeah, but
If-
like if you look at the king jack suited, what do we have? Diamonds?
Yeah.
Like it's 0.006 to call.
Pretty thin.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a great call, but like if we're gonna be defending well against a small bet, we have to find these kind of finish type
Well-
calls, I guess.
I'm surprised that I'm surprised that king jack is a better call than ace 4 or ace 5 here. I would be choosing these two in game before I would choose this one.
And I think I think king jack works better for two reasons. One, obviously the wraparound the queen equity, and two, when you spike a king or a jack, you are going to win some percentage of the time, as opposed to when you have a hand like ace 5, you only have one card that really like. The only other card that you can hit where you can win sometimes is an ace, and even then it's dicey, because then you could just be like have some nice reverse implied odd situations.
Yeah.
Alright,
King jack, you can also turn an open-ended straight draw. You can't turn an open-ended straight draw with ace 4 or ace 5.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the
I
other,
think that what's
can pull-
important
yeah,
in the solver, like king jack is like a 0.006 without the suits. And what is the one thing we kind of believe about most of the population, their 3-bet range?
It's very linear.
Too tight.
It's going to be kind of nutted.
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely okay to fold these like really marginal.
Yep.
Equity hands to a population 3-bet and C-bet.
Ooh,
Look at that nit.
first time we've been 3-bet all day and he has aces. Go figure.
solver, Nick confirmed.
Confirmed.
Uh-oh. Monotone. So we saw that there
Check.
were some leads. Okay. Some leads, definitely. Check, check. Now. Whew. Is this anything more than a marginal made hand that is begging to get to showdown?
Check.
Check,
just-
yeah.
Is it still
Please.
marginal?
Yeah, it got worse, right? The ace came.
Yeah, I think it's getting close to having to bluff it off.
I mean, yeah,
Wow.
I strongly disagree.
I think you need a spade. Oh, I don't think you can. I don't think we can turn this hand into a bluff. I
If
think we
you
just have to
50
check it.
99%
Um,
check. Right, we blocked the straight, but we just have a marginal made hand here. And base
Mhm.
a ragged ace.
I got a question that's off topic for Nick. Nick, you play cash a lot. Is 100 BB cash and 100 BB tournament close, or is it way off still?
pre-flop or post-flop,
Pre-flop,
very different.
Very
yeah,
different.
okay.
Post flop.
Post-flop, they're similar strategies.
The betting
It's
sizes are
different.
different, right?
They're fairly similar. The difference is the ranges are different because the reason the pre-flop ranges are different is because there's rake and cash games. So you're not gonna have a cold calling range from anywhere except the button, small blind or big blind. You're only gonna have a 3-bet or fold range. So ranges are gonna be a lot tighter and more polarized very often.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no ante either. Does it, that, I assume that impacts it too as well.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Alright, you gotta run. It's
Sorry for that.
21.
Rob, see ya, Jay. Fun hand. Time for a
How
4-bet.
often? Are we too deep to ever trap or do we have some calling?
I don't, do we ever trap out of position?
I am not trapping 100 big blinds with aces here.
No, we just want to get money in.
So do we have any traps here? I gotta be honest, I don't really have traps with aces, kings, ace king suited here. I have traps with
Queens will
queens.
start to have calls, I think.
Yeah, but is that
It's not
trapping
even
or
a
is it?
trap, right? It's like.
Yeah, that's just.
Yeah.
That, yeah, it's like queens and your slivers of ace king off and jacks want to just call to like. Not
Yep.
play a gigantic pot, 100 big blinds deep.
So how big is a 4-bet when we're out of position? 3.2 or 2.7?
It's like
Yeah,
3x.
2.5.
It's
2.5,
2.5 to 3, like out of position and like a little bit
2.7.
smaller.
2.7 is good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Yeah, okay.
yeah, like here, 8 times 3 would be 24 and it goes 21. And he just
a
calls.
little under a quarter of your stack is also a good like
All right,
rotation point, I think.
I'm gonna write that down.
Here's
So-
about a fifth.
Is there 2 spades
Or-
and we have the ace of spades?
Yes.
Okay.
4-bet pot,
Hmm.
C-bet frequency is pretty near full generally.
Why do you think that?
And what size? Why do I think that?
Because our
Uh,
ranges are so compressed. And all of our,
I don't
Are
know.
we
it's
four
just what
betting a
I've
lot of
learned.
queen X or nine X? Who has more pairs on this board?
We have some 9x. Not as much queen X.
And what's our C bet frequency with range?
I mean, we just have we just have such an enormous range advantage here.
Like almost,
I would just like auto bet 11, but that could be wrong.
No, I think that's probably right. I think you're probably,
Yeah, with the ace of
I think a
spades.
quarter, I would just be betting 25% with my whole range here, just regardless.
So there is a flush draw and queen nine leads to lots of straight drawing hands here. Right? So he's gonna have some king jack suited, he's gonna have some jack 10 suited. Right? He's gonna have a lot of suited combos here. But they're also containing diamonds and clubs. So if you bet big, they're not gonna continue very much.
I mean, that would be the only argument to bet maybe half instead of quarter. Would
Yeah.
be that connectivity, but I would probably just default to betting quarter.
Is anyone ever checking this hand?
I would in a 3-bet pot, but I don't think I would in a 4-bet pot.
I think the only hands I might ever contemplate trapping would be queens and nines exactly.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think I'm
so
checking this like 30% of the time.
And that
With
would be a
this in-
little, and queens and nines and maybe a handful of give ups. Like there's absolute like nonsense, but we really don't have a lot of nonsense on this board.
with the stacked pot ratio here, we can get it in on 2 streets. Right? If we bet 25 chips here, then we can just stuff a lot of rivers. So like if we bet this 22 sizing on the turn, then we can stuff a lot of rivers here too. So I'm okay with having some checks here with having the ace of spades. Letting him pick up some initiative here, which he should do.
Nope,
But
never.
the 22
It might just-
sizing is the other way to go.
What's our range doing?
Let's take a peek at the entirety of it. The 22 does set up for the nice one more street jam.
We do have like a lot of ace queen off. We have kings and aces. He should have kings, right?
Oh, it's a
And with
range
queens.
bet.
Yeah, I think I was pretty sure that this is.
Yeah.
It's just a function of the fact that we have like this gigantic range and nut advantage, and we just get to bet like a ton.
We're just pushing our equity all across the board here.
Yeah. I'm surprised it bets big. As I said, it bets half more than I thought it would, but I think that might be a function again of like the fact that the queen
Depth.
nine specifically has some connectivity with his 4-bet calls.
I think it is setting up for the turn or river jam. Oh, lots of connectivity.
Ugly.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got to get it in while we're ahead before equity completes with spades and hearts, right? And with the
Think
10
so.
being
Oh, wait, we do not have so we have a spade, we do not have.
Clench your cheeks and
heart.
put it in.
Have we ever checked this? Is this ever a million years a spot where you check? I just,
I'm probably checking. I'd rather bet kings in this hand.
Yeah, kings are a better blocker value, but I think there's going to be there's just going to be too many tough rivers.
I mean, the problem now is, what are we trying? What are we like trying to get called by?
Is it ever 9?
So because it's only 50 into 89,
Yeah.
we can get called by a heart draw. We can get called by a spade draw. We can get called by a guy who has a 10 in his hand with a pair. Right? Like I think there's a lot of draws that are just priced into call at this point.
So does, okay, so. So we're gonna make the assumption that if he has, what, like, king tens, I mean, king tens, king tens a straight.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
Jack 10,
Jack,
queen 10,
queen 10 of hearts.
king, queen.
King
All
queen,
kinds of spades, all kinds of hearts,
yeah.
okay,
right? Like, we unblock ace high hearts, like, he could have ace king of hearts here.
yeah, that is true, we don't block the heart drop, yeah.
Yeah, but to Nick's credit, there is a bunch of checking here as well.
Are we checking because we have a spade? Can you see?
I'm
Like,
pretty sure,
definitely-
and
I'm-
that's kind of why I was thinking we check.
If I have like
the ace of
diamonds,
spades.
clubs, I'm jamming, but because of the ace of spades here, it pushed me towards checking.
Yeah, that's why I was leaning towards check too.
It is checking most with the spade diamond. It's never checking with the heart.
Yeah, I mean, heart's somewhat irrelevant.
It does check the spade a bit, but doesn't check the heart. And yeah, as Nick said, kings are just full frequency going. Ace queen is going here. Right? Ace 10, savage. Yeah, like there's just a bunch of stuff that's going. 57% of range is going, and it's not all value. So when we take the check line, because we know what all in's gonna look like, it goes check, check, and a 10 on the river.
Oh,
Always
lordy.
coming.
Check and all in. What do
He
we
got
beat?
us.
We have to fold. We don't beat it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
fold.
Okay.
I'm out.
Yeah. We
If
don't
you have the
beat
bluff,
any two cards
nice
over
hand.
9.
Yeah, and
The only-
having the ace of spades now becomes kind of bad instead of.
Yeah,
kind of good.
exactly. I agree.
It's still a 0 EV call against the solver.
Oh,
You'll have
five,
that.
4 of hearts.
What a monster. Well played.
All
That's-
right,
That's Chidwick there.
we'll
If
move
we'd
to
s-
our last spot tonight. Goes in and open versus the big blind. All right. And big blind defends, and we get this 7-6-2. Queen 10. So let's take a look at the overall range view. And see what we're doing on different textures here. All right, so now this looks very different from the previous sections where we saw lots of checking. Here on the ace high boards, again, paired ace boards, lots of betting, small. As we move into ace with another Broadway, lots of big betting, lots of big betting, lots of big betting. Very frequent betting. Ace medium and ace small, lots of small betting. Paired kings, again, small betting. King with a Broadway, lots of big betting. King small, lots of small betting. Queens with Broadways, lots of big betting. And as we progress down, more and more small betting. But again, you'll notice jacks, when the board has a jack, a queen, a king, a 10, we are betting almost always, right? Ace low checks a bit, king mid checks a bit. These boards, we are just blast. 10 high boards, we start just having a checking range a little more pronounced. 9 and 8 high boards, a little more polar, right? Less small bets, more big bets. And towards the bottom of our range, now we just find more checks, right? And some small bets on boards like 7-6-2. So, knowing that this is going to be likely more of a small bet or check board, 100 big blinds deep, what do we want to do with this particular combo?
Check. I think either one's fine. I think
I
you're
think
mixing.
checkers, yeah, I was gonna say either check or small bet, when you, especially when we have the 10 of spades.
Where's the check?
I like betting with this combo with the 10 of spades that can pick up and barrel on an 8, a 9, or a spade. So it does check, it does size up. I'm surprised to see the big sizing with this combo, but
Is that because we wouldn't bet this, we would not be betting this
Fair enough.
range or anywhere near range? So we would tend to size up when we do bet.
I would guess so. It's pretty, like, it's very draw heavy, but it's not locked up equity.
Yeah, but there's a lot of connectivity with the
Exactly.
big blinds range, because the big blind has all of like the 7-6 offs, 5-4 offs.
I mean, we have
we
to be
can.
checking this like 50% of the time, right? This board.
Only
Yeah.
14% of the time. Well,
Well, only
oh,
both
so
of
the
this
the board,
range.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
range?
yeah, the board 50%. But
Yeah, I was gonna say it's, yeah, I was gonna say it's like a 40-50% like check.
ooh, all right. 100 big blinds deep. I don't think this is a 3-street hand, but is this second street that we're gonna bet this hand?
Straight got there.
I think we go big. I think we go big. We wanna like, yeah, I mean, 8-9 got there, but like, other than that, right? Like, we wanna try to get value from the set, like the 7x and the 6x that'll keep calling, the flush draws that'll keep calling.
7,
How
8,
big do you wanna go then?
7.
Yeah, I would go like a 10, 8, 8-4.
About an 8, yeah.
Do you,
This
do you
should be
ever
over
check this?
bet, I think. This should be like 12.
I could,
Or
I
check.
could get behind 12. I mean, I think 12 or 8 are
Sure.
probably gonna be pretty close.
Check
I'm
and never
going
fold on
like-
the river.
I'm going like 7 in game always.
Yeah, I just don't ever wanna, I just don't wanna like, I just don't want him when he has like, I don't want his like random 8s, let him get free equity with his random like 8-7 or, you know, stuff
So
like that.
from my study in cash games, which may or may not transfer to this, your best tens are going to be the ones that size up and do some overbetting. But you're like 10 jack, 10 queen, you're losing to some tens, so they're gonna want to choose a smaller sizing. And then actually 10, 8, and 10, 9 are better hands than 10 jack or 10 queen as well.
That makes some
Nick,
sense.
would
So they
that
have
change
this
if we
ratio.
had bet bigger on the flop to where he won't have like ace 10 anymore? Do you think that changes? Cause I know we bet small here, so you can still have those, the better 10. But, if we
Yeah.
big bet flop, it's probably only the 2-pair 10x that we
Well,
lose
if-
to.
Well,
If you polarize on the flop, your turn or your bet on the turn is gonna be polarized because of that.
let's take a peek.
I'm still betting, yeah, mostly around 7 with this hand.
Cool.
But also, it's checking here a lot too. The idea that it's easier to bluff catch a bet here than it is to call or to get like the danger of getting check raised and having to fold this hand is pretty bad,
Right.
right? We really don't want to fold this hand because we are winning and winning a lot here. But we
Yeah,
also
'cause if we
induced
check,
him
there's,
to
like-
bluff. Like, here's the problem. Uh-oh.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, now we're gonna play a 100. We're gonna play 100 big blind pot with top pair medium kicker.
No, we're not, because I think we have to fold this.
How are you
No,
gonna
not
fold top pair
yet.
on the turn?
Not yet.
I think it's probably gonna mix calls and folds, to be honest, but I'm calling still.
Yeah,
I just, yeah, you could try it. I'm pretty sure that because we have ace 10 and king 10 here, that we get to call those first. Now this just becomes a function of like, we have some better tens in our range.
Just click call.
I
Pete.
agree. That's why I think it's gonna mix.
What?
Oh, it's even raising. Oh, savage. Alright, so it does have some raise. It's primarily folding. It has some raises, it has some calls, so we're gonna be able to get there here. See what happens.
Ugh, I'm out.
Well, if you had a bluff, it kind of got there. It missed the spade. I mean, are we folding? Stack to pot ratio 1, top pair, third kicker.
We're folding. This is our worst 10.
Thank goodness. Oh, it's
Yeah.
No.
that's a
What the
I
hell?
quit.
10 jack, 10
I
jack.
thought we were never folding turn and then I
10's
thought we were
better.
always folding
Yeah.
river.
oh, he rivered us.
Can we look at our turn sizing? What sizes we're betting with all of our 10s?
Yeah, for sure. This is an
See if-
interesting spot.
I want to see if the heuristic stays the same.
If flop had gone check, check, I wonder how big he was gonna blast it.
So on the turn,
Sorry if turn, I don't know what I said.
yeah, sure, no problem. On the turn, our sizing is primarily the 8. It has some 5. So 55%, 80%, a little bit of overbet. And then 10s. So top pair is betting pure when it has the straight interaction. Most with ace king, with the ace and the king kicker, and less with the queen and the jack kicker. So really good view of that heuristic, Nick.
Interesting, the overbet comes from 10-9 rather than ace-10, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it's more important to block the straight and have equity with the straight than it is to have a slightly better kicker.
Yep.
Right. Oh, 3 bet from the big blind. We have pocket 7s in position. Do we ever get to fold?
No.
Good. What? Fold 20%? I am
Unit
never-
solver.
What? No, can't be right.
But that was my thought. Can't be right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess
okay.
it does. Oh, yeah, I guess from low
Yeah.
jack it does.
Yeah, I'm folding because like you can start mixing these. You can start folding these, but I gotta be honest, I would be pure calling 5s plus here.
Do you know why you're folding 5s a lot?
That would be his 3-bet bluff range, right?
Yep. Because he's 3-betting ace-5 suited a lot.
And you block that bluff with the 5-5.
Oh, and the magic 6-5. That's the other one too. Right?
And-
6-5 and 5-4.
Oh, yeah, and he does even mix in some ace 7 ace. And so I guess by that like logic, like you could fold a little bit of all of your like smaller pairs.
Yeah, and that's why I guess it has a little bit of all of this. All right. Ace side flop, 3-bet pot, check. Is there anything to do but check here?
Nope.
I wanna
Okay.
say no, but I've been
But wait,
fooled
wait.
before.
Okay, so he checked.
Yep.
Okay, so he will have. His best aces will mostly bet. His 2 pairs will mostly bet, so he's sort of. His 10s will probably bet because there's a flush on board. His 4s, I don't think, does he ever have? He never
Take
has.
a look.
Maybe
Like,
it's like this
Does his
7s
10s
with
bet?
a spade, I'd bet like 20%. I think this is still just like almost always a check though.
Yeah, I think it's always a check. I'm just trying to think, like, are we in that?
So he is checking
We're
almost
kind of
half
at,
his range,
yeah,
and he has lots of aces that check. Even his best ones check.
a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
His
but
sets of aces and sets of 10s that check.
yeah,
Pocket kings that check, pocket queens that check. Like his checking range here is very well protected. So right? I am very inclined to check here and just pray for the 7 of diamonds.
Yeah, we don't have a speed, which would kind of tip me towards betting a little, but like, yeah, I think it's, yeah, I think check's fine.
Are we betting more with or without the spade?
I think we would bet.
Take a look. So the spade
I'd-
kind of gives us a little more outs because it makes both our 7s clean. As opposed to now we have a.
I think we
one
would be
clean
more
7.
inclined to bet. I don't know, like. We were more inclined to bet if we had the 7 of spades.
Yeah, that's, yeah, always betting with it.
Right? When we get a 7, it's gonna be clean, and when we get a spade, we have the chance to bluff or realize equity. So,
That's on the turn, I think, that we're looking at.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised it's always betting. I thought. it
I
bet
was
like
surprised too.
30%.
I was looking at that. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, that
okay.
doesn't look right.
Okay, so the
Really?
7 of spades still bets a little bit more, but not a lot more. Still mostly just checking. And yeah, like we're checking 65% of range here. And we're very polar when we do bet. Check flop. Queen not good. Check turn. Deuce. Okay. He has some 10s. He has pocket 9s.
I'm
imagine-
betting. I'm
Okay.
definitely betting.
If so, how big, Nick?
So. Probably about half pot is the size I'd choose with like my suited aces that make this far that didn't bet. Even like some queen X would start betting this size.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we would probably bet smaller than half in position.
And I'm just trying to get folds from his 10x, pocket 8s, pocket 9s.
Well, let's take a peek at that size and see how many better hands fold than us when we do that. See if it's a little it's good. So when we go with the 14 size, he folds 9s, he folds jacks, he folds some 10s. He doesn't fold the queen.
Yeah, I'm not targeting a queen when I bet that size.
Yep, just 10s, 9s, jacks. It's not bad.
And it's
But
like
you
one
just
of the
have-
worst pairs we have, so one of the worst hands we have, period.
All right, 3-bet pot, and we have aces. Clicky click,
We can call too.
calls 2.
Yeah, in position, we could do a lot more calling.
This hand's gonna call a lot more than like kings does.
Well, kings unblocks him going all in, right, with ace X. So
Alright, so that answers my
Oh.
question from earlier. In position, we do start to no longer pure 4-bet.
but we wish we'd 4-bet earlier now. I can't imagine there's very much raising here on this very locked up equity board. It doesn't
All right.
change much.
Call again, I think.
I don't think there's anything to do but call.
Oh, I'm not
Wow.
folding. Whatever.
What do we beat?
Show me queen jack.
We have to call. We beat pocket queens, pocket 10s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, jack queen suited can play like this, jack 10 suited can play like this.
I
Don't
do-
have the spade, which is nice.
Those,
I think it's nice at least.
so
I don't think he's jamming like
here's the problem is I think we've rattled off some hands I don't know that he has here. Right?
like what?
Like it probably, he may have, is he always taking this line with queens? Is he always taking this line with 10s?
No, he's not always
Let's
taking
take a
this one
look.
with anything.
Yeah. Or is he ever taking this line with
So his range construction on the river. And we'll change it to range height. So he's here with the other aces. He's here with queens.
What else I said?
Um,
I said jack 10, I said jack
Yep.
queen, I said pocket tens.
He's here with a bunch of trash and some kings. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty reasonable. Not printing, but
Jeez.
Hmm. I didn't think it'd be that close, actually.
Wow.
200 blings for 6 high.
I mean, I think he has so many, like, he has a lot of kings here, just like a ton.
But like, the handy pure three bets is ace king, and that's the one we're blocking. Like, a lot of his other kings he's mixing, so
Yeah.
aces are gonna be your best blockers for king X.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I'll put it this way, we saw 2 rivers with aces where it was pretty much 0 EV. And this river, I would have felt way more comfortable calling down than the other river.
I'm checking.
Ooh, this board texture makes us wanna really bad.
Not at 100 big blinds.
Alright,
I think I'm checking like, I was gonna say like 80%, too much, but
yeah, it's the 10-9 are connected and they're connected into the high card range and this is the big blind, so he's just got all the trash.
but we're
So,
still gonna be checking like 40% of our range, 35%, like fairly decently.
are we?
Yeah, I mean, it's been that range. I mean, I would think maybe a touch less, but it's gonna be at least a third.
It's not a nice ol'
24%.
Ooh,
Yeah,
G
we just,
rangy.
we really wanna push our equity on this board. Right? Pretty big equity difference between us just because of all his trash, but like once we bet on the flop, it's just gonna clean up so much of his trash here, right? Like he's here with
mhm.
42% trash, we're here with 3% trash. We literally missed this hand with this board with almost none of our range.
So if we're checking, what's the hand we check the most?
6-5, right?
I disagree. I think kings,
Kings.
we're gonna
I
check
think
the
kings,
most,
queens,
really
and
high,
jacks.
yeah.
Kings,
And then
queens, and
queens, we're
jacks.
gonna queens, we're gonna check the second most.
Like our backdoor
Yeah.
hearts are also gonna check here.
I agree with that.
Right? So like 6-5 of hearts is gonna check here, right? They're gonna want to turn equity before they pick up the bet because we're gonna have a few delayed C bets with hearts.
We'll have
I
some
might
bad,
bet with 6-5.
yeah, we might have some bad tens that wanna like check too.
Yeah.
10, 8,
So
10,
when
7.
we check here, 'cause queens do check. We get a 7 on the turn. Do we go for some value to be called by some worse hands and some draws now?
I'm checking this deep.
I think because it's the big blind and the big blind would check like. Is still gonna have all of their tens that they're gonna a bunch of their tens, they're gonna check twice. A lot of their nines, they're gonna check twice. We wanna start to try to get value from those hands. Not so much like. I'm thinking that the big blind's going to start to bet their ace. They'll check back some ace X still twice, but they're gonna start betting a fair amount of their better ace X now. And they're gonna
Remember-
start, yeah,
Yeah, I bet this like
Remember-
30% of the time, but I'm betting like half pot too, yeah.
yeah.
But I think I
Remember
mostly
we
check this hand still.
Yeah, remember we saw the range graph where we just had a really large equity advantage on this swap? Well, we've checked there and like some of the equity has improved and completed, but it's still equity that's in our range. So it's gonna want to push equity and bet small here a lot and just kind of clean up the trash. that our opponent has, right? So hearts, clubs, and diamonds. Like we're just gonna get a lot of auto folds here now. And I think this is kind of a clean up the equity type of bet.
What hands do you want to auto fold with this hand?
A hand that has a king in it. Right?
Because some
You're
of the, yep, yeah, yeah, a lot of the bad king X now folds. I think it probably, you may get some. Trying to think, you may get some jacks to fold, like you might get some jacks to fold, which doesn't sound like much, but I mean, that is.
I don't
You
think
know,
we're
that
looking
is
to
getting
get,
some gut shot. You are getting some of the bad gut shots to fold.
I don't think we're looking to get better hands to fold so much as we're looking to get a bit of value from worse hands here.
yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we get called by like all his pairs. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's just gonna call with a lot of single paired hands here. He's gonna call with the straight draw here sometimes. He's gonna call with spades. Right? He is gonna call with some aces. He has lots of aces here that are hanging out. So yeah, I think this is just pushing that equity a bit. Okay. Where's it up? Ooh, completed flopped equity. 86 in range. Jack 8 in range. Very dangerous board. Anyone want to bet or check here?
I could go either way. Like I
I'm
think if
betting
we're gonna
like
to, I would bet.
30% of the time with this hand, mostly
Yeah.
checking.
Yeah, I would bet two with a spade and probably check a lot of the ones that don't have a spade.
I'd be more inclined to bet 2s and 3s and less with 4s, but yeah, generally that idea. Oh, the hallelujah.
Sunday, Monday.
All right. 7.6
We don't get to overbet.
on completed equity, but this is like kind of the surprise hand.
I think it's because
Maybe
we
5.
we're playing with capped ranges now. When the flop goes check, check, and I check again, we're both fairly weak. So I don't think we're gonna have any overbets in our range. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's gonna be half or 2/3. I
I
agree with
agree.
that.
It's a lot of 80% pot.
80, oh yeah, okay.
Do we have any overbets in range?
No, well, 3%, right?
No, like
It's
within
not-
range.
Yeah, it's we have some overbets here. So what are they?
I'd be surprised.
No, we have
If
less
we're
than
not doing it with
1%.
this hand, then we're probably never doing it, right? This is like one of the best hands to choose.
Yeah, it's just capped ranges, and the nuts didn't change, so the ranges are still capped.
Yeah.
Yeah, our overbets are 4s, 9s, and queens. If we do, but really, like the majority of our bets are the 80% size here. We are polar. So
Mainly checking.
but yeah, like 65% of range is checking. But when you are betting the big size primarily. But we do bet this size in game. It is represented pretty well. Wow. Quadrasic Park. We went polar on the well, we
No, we
didn't
went
quite go
half.
full. We went half. So do we get to go 19 or do we get to go 38?
I think this, I could be wrong. I think it's gonna go half pot a lot with this exact hand.
Just looking
I
to
would
get
agree.
called.
I don't think we're gonna go over bet again.
Yeah, I don't think we
I
get to
again
overbet this.
think that we're not gonna overbet, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think we will have, I think we will have overbets, but I don't think they'll be from quads.
So
Yeah, where
if-
would we pull overbets from then? Would they be our? I'm just curious as what you would think, we would think our overbets would be, because I
An
just,
overpair, right?
aces?
Like
Aces?
10,
Or random trips?
10x that decided to check the flop, some sets that decided to check the flop. I don't think it's gonna be a lot of hands, but I think we'll have some.
Okay. Yeah,
So
So
If we bet-
aces check the flop some, yeah.
if we bet 80% here, what hands do you think he's raising us with?
Some bluffs, some.
Mainly a
10x.
straight.
is that an idea of going smaller to try to
That's
reduce bluffs?
great.
No, my idea is if he's gonna call a straight, right, on a 9.5 bet, is he gonna call a straight on a 30 bet? Right, and if he doesn't, like, if he just calls with a straight for 10 bigs, like, are we not getting that value of him calling it this size of bet? Like, he has to be able to raise pretty big.
So
for
I look
us
at this
to
differently.
not
What
go big
if you
here.
have like ace nine suited or like 10 jack? What size do you want to bet?
I don't know that I want to bet again,
Okay.
right? Like with
I'm gonna
10
have
jack.
some hands. I'm gonna have some hands I want to go for thin value. So when I have hands I want to go for thin value, a lot of the times I'm gonna put the super nuts into the same hand class with the hands that want to bet super thin for value. So whenever I get raised, I'm still protected.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we were talking about what the nut flushes did in that hand we looked at earlier. That a lot of them bet within that small range. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
So
So
are you
Greg,
guys going half pot here?
I'm like always going half pot with this hand. I'm not. I could be wrong. That's just what I'm doing.
It is
and 19 is in there too.
it is 60% going this. This is definitely the choice, but it does have some 19, so pot and a half as well. Right? I was a
And
little
Peter, I like your
greedy.
point a lot. I think if we go 6, he should raise a straight. And if we start to get too big, he might not, right?
I mean, if he goes 6, he's gonna raise 10-9 sometimes. When he has it.
He may, yeah.
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 And then we can come back. Otherwise, we wanna go big enough to just milk it for the max.
Yeah.
Yeah, like here he just called with ace 10, right? Whereas if we go bigger, like he's still gonna call ace 10 here if we go 19.
You would think so.
That's being results oriented. Like sometimes he'll be raising as a bluff. you know?
Actually, I just pulled that spot up on my GTO wizard. He actually starts to fold if you go 19, starts to fold ace 10.
Oh, I
He starts to fold some of his 10s. His ace
Does it
10 can
mainly fold though? Probably not,
It-
right?
It's like very close. It's probably like almost splitting.
Okay.
55-45.
Yeah, something in that range.
All right, queen 9-9, ace 10. Paired board, queen.
Bet 2 or check?
We don't have offsuit nines, but I think we're still gonna see bet like 70% of the time. This hand I think can check or bet.
I think this bet's, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, bet's too fine. I don't think we bet that much, that often though. I think it's probably only about half.
No, you think we're betting half the time? I think we're betting more than half the time here.
Yeah, I think. that's-
Just because, big blind has
All the nines.
all the 9s and we do not have all the 9s.
50%. 50% bet, 50% check, and almost always small. Right, so we want to bet when we have an 8, when we have a 10, when we have a jack. We want to check when we have an ace a lot. And a lot of these smaller pairs just want to check and try and house. Okay. And we just get a fold. Okay. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. King 7 deuce. No ability to check raise. Nothing to do but fold. My favorite board to bet any 2 cards.
I was gonna say we can also size up a little bit.
Totally right. I would be more inclined to size up with any of the other three combos. But he defends. What the heck?
Bet again.
Five, five. Do we need to polarize here? Probably not.
Not 5 or 8. I think either one's fine. No.
I was gonna ask why,
Hex,
why are we
jack off.
just, I don't know if this has the best properties to bluff unless you're just gonna bluff everything.
Yeah, because like you've turned no additional equity. You've cleaned up a lot of the hands that you were trying to.
Well, so on the king 7-2 board, he's gonna have to defend with backdoor flush draws because he doesn't have enough straight draws or pairs to continue with.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have spades or hearts.
wide
In that.
range.
You want to have clubs or diamonds. So you're gonna pull from your clubs. Apparently, it's just the wrong combo to pull from.
Yeah, he's
Oh.
gonna have to defend every deuce, and you're just gonna continually apply pressure to that deuce. So
When you
I'm
bet
surprised.
here, you're getting hearts and spades to fold.
Yeah.
Which clubs are we betting?
We're gonna take a peek see. So we're betting 40% of range. We are sizing it up bigger when we go. And let's take a look at the clubs.
I think the 5 is not the best cuz it interacts with his 6-8 and 8-9 and 5-6. That is like forced to float cuz you, like you said, it's like hard to find the natural defends.
So Jack 9 is the middle of the road.
Ace X of clubs a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I'd rather check ace of clubs because it has more showdown value. I'd rather bet Jack 9 of clubs.
Yeah, it's betting all
weird.
the queen high clubs more than the jack high clubs.
Wait, how
9
about
8
like
makes
the
sense.
ace
They
8 suited?
draw. These are only club combos.
Only club combos.
So I guess these clubs it just doesn't quite get.
It's weird to me. Okay.
So I guess it chooses the club combos that interact with the 7 and the 5 combining. So it's choosing clubs that have this 8-9, the top end, the queen 8, queen 9.
So why is Queen 8 doing it but not Jack 8?
Yeah, I don't get that either. Like if I say I
Yeah,
wouldn't
that is
pick,
weird.
I wouldn't be picking some of these just because when we have a hand like this, it turns no additional equity. It has no like
I think the jack
blocking.
is better represented in his flop float range and we wanna unblock it.
How
Yeah,
so?
How so? Like,
What Jack X are calling that Queen X aren't? Like if he has Jack,
because Jack 10 can make us straight 2 ways, but Queen 10 can't.
yeah, he,
Oh,
Like
7,
it can run
okay.
out 8, 9.
Okay.
yeah, so if we
Yeah.
go,
Okay,
if we go back to the big blinds defend range, I think that would tell it, give us a pretty good understanding.
is he calling with more Jacks?
Is it
Nope.
Deuce.
It looks very
It's
similar to
about the
Queen.
same, huh? Wait, are we still on only club? No, we're, alright. Huh.
10 jack, queen 10, queen 9, queen jack.
Alright, I don't
Yeah,
know.
like they're all proportionally here the same.
So solver is just doing it because the solver's doing it. I don't think we need to dive too deep into it.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay. I guess he defends slightly more combos of Jack 10 because he defends some off test suit Jack 10 for that reason and folds the queen 9s and the queen 10s.
Yeah, but in the same token, he's check raising Jack 10 and Jack 9 more often too. So they're in range less on the suited side. So
So yeah, pretty minutia spot there. But I mean, we have Jack high. The turn went check check. think we got to give it a bluff.
Big,
Man, mostly a give up low frequency bet.
Mhm.
Betting
I-
like half pot.
13 or?
I think you go
No.
big. I think you go bigger check. Just give up. It's either bet bigger check.
6 reps a
Both.
queen a little better and 13 reps a flush, I guess.
Yeah, 6 is what I would go if I was betting. Rep a queen
I hate,
or a low king.
yeah, I don't know. I hate betting sizes that rep only like one hand.
Calling
called us
station
the
tag
deuce.
immediately.
Wizard.
Yeah. Oh, 3 deuce. Okay. Think we will wrap up for tonight. Make sure you guys check out Nick's cash game study that's coming up. Do you have a time set for that, Nick?
Yeah, I posted on Discord. I think it's 6:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night.
Wonderful. All of these videos are going to be up on YouTube. Here's Louis. Mine's here as well. One more shout out to our friend Jeet. Scored a big win, 741 person field. So congrats, man, and keep studying. These type of things, these type of investments in your game are just going to make you a better player. So congrats, man, and yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the session.